Loungin, son.
Welcome to another episode of Loungin. My name is Ryan. My co-host name is Mario. And today we are going to be talking about colorists, the unsung heroes in the comic book industry. Not just colorists. There's letterers, editors. There's plenty of
other
people that are involved in comics that are underappreciated.
Yeah.
Writers and artists are usually the ones that get the most love.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about some colorists, some of our favorites, and why they're so important to some of your favorite stories.
Which is funny because this topic has come up in some of the other stuff that we do like off the shelf, which is just like a review show where we talk about some of the books that we like, and it comes up because when you're talking about like we're reviewing a hardcover, you're gonna talk about the coloring, the inking, and lettering and editing.
Yeah,
and I think it's something that gets kind of missed a lot because I don't think most people think about it.
They don't,
and I understand it too. I mean, you don't really look at the credits, and
I didn't, but I think at a young age I started.
Yeah,
you know, like editors, like I said, like I've talked about, like Karen Berger, Shelley Bond from Vertigo. Like that's when I started noticing names and I started paying attention. Well, only on books that I liked.
Right.
But you know, colorists, I think. I mean, in a video that we just recorded that'll go up, and later on, bad color choices can kind of take you out of a story. Not necessarily that it's bad coloring, but just the choice of coloring just doesn't fit the story, right? Like that's what I think the colorist's job is.
It also elevates the particular artist. You know, there's some artists who the penciling is great, but the inking can ruin it and the coloring can ruin it.
Right.
Where you take a penciler that is fantastic or phenomenal, and you have someone that's more average or doesn't quite fit the tone with inking and coloring, and it can completely like ruin, or not ruin, but bring it down to another level. Where now you associate that penciler, the artist, with it. No, he's not that great. But it's not that he's not that great. It's just that the team didn't really work together well.
Right, but I think even two great inkers, and I know we're getting off topic, but real quick, like can just change the dynamic of the art. Like if you look at Dennis Cowan's art in Hardware, a Milestone book, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy Palmiotti inked him.
Yeah.
Then you look at a book that Dennis Cowan's doing now, The Question, and Bill Sienkiewicz is inking him.
Yeah.
Looks completely different.
Yeah.
Just completely different styles.
Yeah.
Because the relationship too between Dennis and Bill is really symbiotic. Like I've heard Bill Sienkiewicz say, like, I can leave, like Dennis can leave something there, and I'll know how he wants it finished.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, and that's just a relationship you build with creators.
Which is also why you see a lot of the same colorists with the same artists and writers.
Right, and which
like
is going to tie...
Breitweiser and Matt Hollingsworth and certain people like that, you always see them with certain creators.
Right, and this will tie into an interview I just did, David Barron.
Yeah.
He works with Jock a lot. You know what I mean? Like, Green Arrow Year One.
Yeah.
Batman Who Laughs.
Which we'll probably talk about it here.
The fucking point. Black Mirror, which we will also talk about at one point.
Yeah.
So like he has a good relationship. So like he keeps getting asked. He works with Doug Mankey a lot.
Yeah.
Which is why he was on the Green Lantern New 52 run, and he was also on the New Detective Comics run.
Yeah.
Now another colorist, Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
That dude's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hellboy universe.
Right.
He colors that. And why? Because Mignola is, I don't want to call him a control freak, but he's all a part.
It.
Yeah, he micromanages it. He has a vision and he wants it executed properly. And I think Dave Stewart is one of the greatest colorists.
But he works with other people. He's worked with like Mark Waid and Somni.
Yeah.
It just, again, it also, because Somni's amazing.
Yeah.
But he also pairs with amazing colorists.
I agree.
And that's one of the reasons why, whether it's Black Widow or Firepower that just came out, you get art that looks amazing because it's not just Somni. It's Somni and whoever helps him out.
Right, and then you were saying Matt Hollingsworth.
Yeah.
That dude's on another fucking level, dude. The Thor run that he colored, I don't even know where he...
Dean White did the first issue, and then Hollingsworth took over after that.
I don't even know where he gets some of these colors. Like, it's almost as if you're fucking on acid with some of the color. Like, it's like he's creating colors.
Yeah.
Like, and then, like, he colored Witches with Jock.
Yeah.
His coloring on there is fucking insane, too. It's like the way that he attacks it.
Yeah.
If you look at Witches and you look at fucking, like, the Thor,
completely different.
You can't even tell.
No.
It's like a different colorist. But I think that just speaks to his versatility.
Yeah.
Insane, dude. Insane.
He's a legend.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a chance to chat with that dude. You know, and like I said, I chat with David Barron. I learned so much. Like, and I've interviewed colors before in the past.
Yeah.
You know, written ones, so I couldn't feed off them. It's different when you can talk.
Yeah.
And just hearing his thought process and like color choices and stuff was very interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Because the colorist's job is to like, you have the black and white art, but you have to create that mood.
Yeah.
And you have to help build the scene, because like you could have a scene that's supposed to be scary, but if you got some like bright pinks.
Well, we just talked about that. We talked about Scene of the Crime.
Right.
And it's Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, and Michael Lark. But we're talking about the coloring, which neither of those three.
Right.
With a detective noir story. And then you get bright pinks and reds,
Yellow.
and you're like...
That fucking bright yellow.
Bright yellow houses and like a guy with a bright red pink, but then he's super ink to have shadows, and you're like, something about this doesn't seem quite right. And it's not to say that it's terrible art and like ruins the book. It doesn't. But it's just that we've seen what Edward Baker, Sean Phillips art looks like with the bright coloring.
Mm-hmm.
Where you see like Kill or Be Killed. And you look at that wonderful book
so
and the
good.
way it's colored and the tone. Because the problem is you have to really think about, and I think it's why some people don't think about coloring. You think about, how does this book make me feel? And you have to think about why.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the lettering. It's not just the writing. It's not just the penciling, the character design. It's the color a lot of the time. And I think that's why it's so important for tone.
Right.
And I think that's why some of the books, that are superhero books, it's not something as important. Because it's really vibrant and you just want green and reds and yellows and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you're doing more indie books, I think it's far more important because you're really trying to hit a tone. Whether it's American Vampire,
mm-hmm.
or it's Hellboy, or it's Kill or Be Killed, where you're setting a specific tone and feel and vibe that the coloring gets off a lot more than necessarily the art does. The pencil.
A couple new colorists that have been brought to my attention recently, like Rico Renzi. I love his coloring. He colored the first volume of Bitterroot. He also colored Sea of Stars.
Yeah, okay. It's a great book.
Insane, dude. His
That
coloring is phenomenal in there too. Emilio Lopez on Excellence. Another fucking great colorist, you know?
Yeah.
And you can't take away, too, coloring in gray tones.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't forget about that. Now, gray tones is another form of coloring.
Yeah.
And I think that also can be done shit. Like, you can have a black and white book, but not necessarily have gray tones.
Yeah.
I think...
like Frank Miller.
Right. And then, like, the old Ninja Turtle books were done with gray tones. Walking Dead is done in gray tones. It's called black and white.
But it's not really
it's
black
with gray
and
tones.
white. Yeah.
Yeah, and people, I think they mistake it sometimes for to just be, it's just black and white. No, dude, that's a skill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not
well,
easy.
If you've ever seen Mateo Scalera's art, that guy is...
in black and white, or
it's not really black and white. It's because he does a lot of ink wash.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, dude. I love ink wash.
He's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And making it like you don't really need color, which a lot of times he doesn't do colors. He rarely does color.
Mm-hmm.
Because his specialization is using like ink wash to fully flesh out the cover.
I love stuff like that, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. I love a great colored book, but I love gray tones, dude. I love seeing stuff in ink wash and stuff like that. It's just, I like variety. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why some of the names that we've called out really stand out to me, because they're unique in their own respect. They're not, like, I hate to say this, but there are, just like there's kind of generic house pencilers and inkers, right? There's a house style.
Yeah.
There tends to be a house coloring style sometimes where they don't get very experimental in their coloring.
Yeah.
But these guys that we mentioned, all very experimental, all very like hands-on, and like they take a book that's great and they bring it to fucking amazing. You know what I'm
think
saying?
about something like Daredevil, the one with Paul Rivera first and Mark Waid, and then Somni. That book is a big part of that is a coloring, which something you probably don't think about, but it's.
I did the scenes where he's using his senses.
It's a combination. Amazing. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Obviously, Somni or Rivera came up with the design of what the art's going to look like, but then the coloring applied to it to emphasize it's his radar sense. Words sometimes, like, they'll have gags where like something happens and like the word plays out. But the way it's colored also really impacts how it plays out and how much information it communicates to you. So but it takes a lot of thought, and I think that's why people don't necessarily think about the colorist as being so important. Because I don't know that the average person really thinks about the tone of a book. They just read, it's fucking Green Lantern or whatever.
Right, and then you also, like, in the past, like, you didn't see colorists credited on the cover. You see them credited on the cover now.
Well, I think even now, even with Comixology, a lot of the time it gives you just writer and artist.
I know,
but it's calling out the pencils, not necessarily. And to be fair, there's a lot of artists nowadays that are doing all of it, which is why sometimes they are referred to as the artist.
And
And it's
that's
just
fine.
to give credit with the fact that this
Everything.
person literally did pencils, ink, color, whether it's digital or traditional, whatever they're doing. And that is the artist.
Right.
But a lot of times it's not, especially with superhero stuff, because it's too fast. It's too much of a quick turnaround.
Right.
And you look at Comixology, and it'll just literally tell you just who wrote it
No, I tried
and who did the pencils or the line art or whoever the main artist. But there's 3 other people involved usually.
I know, and I've seen people called out. I'll be honest. I got called out on a fucking review one time for not putting every single
Person.
credit on there. They're like, "What about this person?" And I was like, "You know what? My bad. You're right. I was my mistake." And I fucking put it back in there, and I never forgot to put the credit in there again. You know what I mean?
But it is hard to find something, which is kind of the point we're talking about. Is that we talk about books. Obviously, the website's been up, and there's reviews and stuff that go up. But sometimes it's hard, where maybe you don't have the book in front of you, and you're writing it later on, and you're trying to remember who did the inking or who did the lettering on this book.
Yeah.
And you're searching on the website over and over, like, does DCComics.com have it? And then you can't find it easily.
I know I've had that problem so many times because I'll write, or I used to when I was writing reviews more frequently. I would write a review in the app on my phone for the site.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, write it. I'm like, God damn it, like, who the fuck lettered it? Like, because I could even remember the inker and the colorist sometimes, but like the letter I just could not remember. And I would I'd get the advanced PDF, so I don't even have a physical copy that I can go get. And I'm like, God damn it, you know what I mean? Like, now I gotta get onto my fucking computer. I gotta do all this, and like, because they don't have it on the website, it's not there. You know what I mean? Like, and I gotta dig for it, and like, that's crazy to me, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you take one of those cogs out of the machine, it's not running. It's not running the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you could for instance, like, what if you took Killer Be Killed, right? And you put on a different colorist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't think of a specific name,
go
but
old
like,
school, go like Batman Year One.
yeah, and you put on.
You changed anything in that book,
It's
whether
not
it's the inking,
the fucking same,
or the coloring.
No, because that book is colored perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, and.
But you have even more modern stuff like that run with Lee Weeks and Tom King on Batman.
Oh, the Batman, yeah.
That's beautiful. That's fucking gorgeous. I mean, some of the coloring in the... is that Breitweiser?
I don't think so.
The Hollingsworth?
I think it was Hollingsworth.
I think it was Hollingsworth.
I don't know. I hope I'm not wrong, but
it was one of the bigger names.
she's comic skated already.
I know.
Yeah, it's a shame. Anyways,
but it's hard. I mean, look at Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker though. Her name is on there a lot.
Another one of my favorites, Jacob Phillips.
He's good.
Sean Phillips' son. He came in out of fucking nowhere.
Well, obviously he's learning from his dad.
No, but I'm saying, like, that dude just jumped in.
He did.
To My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies.
Yeah, My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies.
That was his first fucking project.
And
I know you're Sean Phillips' son, dude, but you just fucking jumped on with Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. I don't care if you're the son or not. Like, that's fucking dope. And now he's fucking illustrating his own book.
That Texas Blood.
Yeah. So
he did a really good job.
Yeah, and his color choices too.
He's different. He's a lot more vibrant than his dad.
Yeah.
Which I think is because he's younger. He wants to probably express himself a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with his dad, he's developed a tone that I know he probably thinks Ed likes.
Right.
And as Jacob's younger, so he's probably just like, no, I want to try new shit.
Yeah.
Look at My Hero's Always Been Junkies. I think it's a little bit more vibrant than he used to.
It's a lot more vibrant.
But it works, and he does a good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but look at that color. Like, I immediately think of the color. I think of the colors. When My Hero's Always Been Junkies, I think about that book. I immediately think of color for some reason.
Because it was so different.
Yeah.
Than what we had originally seen, and I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even think. I'm like, oh, it's just the same colors on all the books, because it was. A long time. And so, like, when I opened it, I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And like, not in a bad way, but I'm just like, this isn't the same.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, the colors look weird. So then I fucking went back to the cover, and I'm like, oh, Jacob Phillips. Yeah. And then I went online. I'm like, that's his son. What the fuck? And like, dude, but he also did the back illustrations in the monthly books too, like the back matter in Brubaker and Phillips. This is turning into a Brubaker and Phillips fucking conversation. Usually does. Yeah.
No, but the point is still about like Jacob coming in as a new guy and how much his style and approach can affect the book, especially in a series that we've been seeing for over a decade, and all of a sudden you throw in a new guy, Jacob, and how much that can change it not in a bad way, but just different.
Yeah.
So that point is like, how much coloring affects.
Yeah, coloring can change
books.
the entire feel of a story in a second.
Yeah,
dude.
and I don't think it's just gonna. It just sucks that they don't get enough credit. And
No, they don't. And
how often have you been to a con and you see like a colorist having their like booth?
actually, speaking of David Barron, he had a pretty nice sized fucking booth at
You know
LA.
what I
But yes,
mean.
you don't normally see the colors of booths, but he also writes and illustrates.
Yeah.
You know, but there are colors that coloring is what they do. And at least in comics,
Yeah.
right? Like they probably dabble in painting, I'd imagine. You know, that's another form of expression that they probably do. I mean, like I said, colorists are one of the most important aspects of a comic book, and they need to be appreciated more.
Yeah.
Go out, look in your collection, check the fucking colorist in there, and go fucking give them a follow on
Or just start
Instagram,
paying
dude.
attention. Like whatever. You don't have to really do any work. Just think about the books that you like,
Yeah.
and just when you're reading it, just
Yeah.
look at who
and then
who
go
did the colors
and then
on
go
this.
follow them
And then
because
just
they
pay
got some
attention.
dope ass shit, dude. Like the
Yeah.
techniques, they'll show that shit, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a process junkie. I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
I'm not a fucking writer. You know, all I do is talk about fucking comic books and sell them 3 days a week at
Yeah.
the comic shop. You know, but like I love
Well,
the process.
that was the next thing I was gonna say. Is that I think once you start trying to do it, that's when you also start realizing like, holy shit, this
Yeah.
is really fucking hard. I think lettering. I think even more than coloring, I think lettering is another one that gets just kind of whatever
Mm-hmm.
because you don't really realize how hard it is because you think about the steps. So Paulo Rivera or Chris Samney or whoever take the effort to write this fucking beautiful book or draw this book. Then somebody inked over it, or they inked it, and then somebody did the coloring over it, and now then you're tasked with, well, add letters to it, and you're like, fuck, like I'm kind of ruining the book, because you look at the art, you're looking at the art by itself, you're literally making the art with the lettering, and you have to like strategically think about, I don't want to take away from all of these people, but I need to add the lettering. How do I add it? And it's actually really fucking hard.
Yeah, I would not want to.
It's a shitty job.
I've thought about learning how to
Like-
letter. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that'd be kind of a cool way to learn the beginnings
Yeah.
because that's a very, like you said, it's a very important aspect of a comic book. But then I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
how do
I couldn't imagine.
I don't
doing it.
want to fucking
Because
draw.
it feels like a kind of a shitty job in that you're forced to give up space of art
unless the artist
unless they specifically planned it
or,
out
the,
ahead
or
of
if they
time.
put the balloons and they make little X's like, okay, this is the balloon placement, which I feel like might take place, but again, I don't know.
it
Probably gonna have
varies
to-
from artist to
Yeah,
artist.
probably
It
have
varies
to
from
talk
team
to a letter,
team.
find out.
But yeah, and I think once you start making the art, I think inking is another thing. Like, I think I've definitely had experiences where you draw something in pencil and it looks fucking awesome. You start inking because you don't know what you're doing, and you're like, oh, this doesn't look anywhere near as good as it because you just didn't know how to do it. Like the thickness, the lines, the line work.
Right. Yeah, it's completely.
It just
different.
doesn't look the same. And then they go same with the coloring. I think you also take something you penciled and ink, then it looks fucking awesome. You're super excited, and you try to do like ink wash or watercolor, and it completely like, fuck, I completely ruined all the work.
I know what you're saying. Like I tried drawing like recently, like for the first time since I was like a kid.
Yeah.
And I looked at a cover of like a Street Angel by Jim Rugg, right? And I just replicated it, but I kind of made it a little bit larger. Not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean it was decent. But I was like, oh, I wonder if I should like ink it or color it. And I'm like, no, just gonna put that on the shelf and leave it alone, and like maybe I'll look at it later on.
It's really
because I'm worried
hard.
that like it's already like not that great, but it's not bad for somebody that doesn't draw, and I'm like maybe I'll just let it be not so bad. You know what I mean? But
it's really hard, and this is one of the reasons why you get specialized fields,
right?
Because it's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and also people like, create their own like style, like Francesco Francavilla. I think someone that like he has his own style with his coloring that is just his. You know what I mean? You see his books, you know exactly who's doing that.
I mean, I can kind of tell. I feel like I'm at that level where like I can kind of pick out a colorist's work for the most part. Sometimes it's a little hard. Like I easily could have like mistaken a couple colors. I won't say the names, but I could have mistaken because I don't know, you know what I mean? But I could have mistaken them, but they each have like their thing, you know what I mean? Like that they tend to do. Even like color choices, like you'll see them replicate it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how you can kind of pick out and you can see how they like to play in that fucking realm of like the certain color palettes. But yeah, that's that's our message for you today. Go fucking support the colorists,
Yeah.
recognize them, and show them your appreciation. Especially if you're, sharing stuff on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Make sure you give them a shout out.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, you guys can follow us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Comic Lounge, thecomiclounge.com, and make sure you hit that subscribe button below and.
Just write in with your comments. Just whatever.
Yeah, write in with your comments if you want.
Other topics like this that you want to talk about, just write in. Tell us what you think. Tell us what we should talk about in future episodes.
And hit that bell icon, and you'll be notified every time we put up a new video, which is going to be quite frequently. So, on that note, we're out.